There's a promise that broke an entire generation. Go to college, get a degree, build a good life. For 50 years, that promise worked. Then it stopped. Not slowly, not gradually. There were specific moments, specific policy decisions, when college stopped being a path to the middle class and became a debt trap instead. In 1980, you could work your way through school, graduate with little or no debt, get a good job, start a life. By 2010, that was gone. Tuition had exploded, loans had become unavoidable, and the jobs that were supposed to justify the cost, they disappeared. This is the story of when college stopped paying off, and who restructured the system to make sure you'd pay anyway. In 1970, college was expensive, but it was affordable. Public university tuition, about $1,200 per year. Not in today's dollars. In actual 1970 dollars, you could work part-time during school and summers, cover tuition, graduate with minimal debt. Average student loan debt in 1970, $1,000, paid off within a few years. Why was this possible? Because states funded universities. State governments covered 65 to 75% of operating costs. Tuition covered the rest. This wasn't charity, it was strategy. Education was treated as a public investment. You educate the population, the economy grows, tax revenue increases. Everyone benefits. The GI Bill proved it worked. Millions of veterans went to college for free after World War II. They graduated, got good jobs, bought homes, built the post-war boom. By 1970, that model had expanded. Public universities were accessible across the country. Enrollment exploded, the middle class grew, and most students graduated without debt, because the system was designed to work that way. But that system lasted exactly 30 years. Between 1980 and 2010, 4 decisions restructured everything. Shift 1. State funding collapsed. In 1980, Ronald Reagan cut federal education funding by 25%. State governments followed. University budgets were slashed. Between 1980 and 2000, state funding per student dropped 30%. Universities had one option: raise tuition. 1980 tuition, $2,100. 2000 tuition, $8,800. That's a 320% increase. But this wasn't just budget cuts. This was ideology. The Reagan administration argued education is a private benefit, not a public good. If you benefit from a degree, you should pay for it, not taxpayers. That philosophy reshaped everything. Education became a product, a personal purchase. And like any product, when demand stays high and supply is controlled, price goes up. Shift 2. Student loans became a business. In the 1990s, student lending was privatized. Banks started issuing loans backed by the federal government. Here's the structure. Banks lend money. Government guarantees repayment. If students default, taxpayers cover the loss. Risk-free profit for banks. And because loans became easy to get, universities raised prices even more. Students could borrow whatever tuition cost. Schools had no reason to keep prices down. Student loan debt in 1990, $200 billion. By 2010, $850 billion. By 2026, $1.7 trillion. Shift 3. For-profit colleges exploited the system. In the 2000s, large for-profit college chains expanded massively. Schools like University of Phoenix, DeVry, and others built specifically around federal loan money. These weren't schools. They were businesses. Publicly traded companies with shareholders. They spent more on marketing than teaching. They recruited aggressively. Veterans, low-income students, minorities, promised 80 to 90% job placement. Delivered 30 to 40%. Advertised $60,000 starting salaries. Graduates made $30,000. But students didn't learn this until after they'd borrowed $50,000 or $80,000. And here's the trap. In 2005, Congress made student loans almost impossible to discharge in bankruptcy. Credit card debt? Dischargeable. Medical debt? Dischargeable. Student loans? You're stuck. This was lobbied for by banks. It meant they could lend unlimited amounts with zero risk. Students became permanent debtors by law. Shift 4. The government took over and profited. After 2008, the federal government took control of student lending, cut out private banks, started issuing loans directly. Why? Because they realized student loans are profitable. Between 2010 and 2020, the federal government made $70 billion in profit from student loan interest. That's not a safety net. That's a revenue stream. Students borrow, government profits, debt compounds forever. Here's what that system created. Average cost of public university in 2026, $28,000 per year. Private university, $60,000 per year. Average debt at graduation, $40,000. But many owe $80,000, $100,000, $150,000. Law students and medical students often exceed $200,000. And what do they get? The degree doesn't deliver. In 1970, a college degree guaranteed upward mobility. College graduates earned 40% more than high school graduates. Today, graduates earn more, but the gap has shrunk relative to debt. Median starting salary for college graduates, $55,000. With $40,000 in debt at 5% interest, monthly payments are $400 to $500 for 10 to 20 years. That's $6,000 per year. Over 10% of gross income. After taxes, rent, food, transportation, there's nothing left. And 40% of recent graduates are underemployed. The degree still costs like it guarantees success. The job market no longer does. Baristas with bachelor's degrees, retail workers with master's degrees, they have the debt, but not the income to justify it. The debt compounds. If you can't afford payments, you defer or enter income-based repayment. But interest keeps accruing. People make payments for 10, 15, 20 years and owe more than they started with because they're covering interest. Principal barely moves, and you can't escape. Bankruptcy won't save you. The debt follows you until it's paid or forgiven after 25 years of payments. Who wins? The federal government collects $7 billion per year in interest. Universities keep raising tuition because demand stays high. Loan servicers make billions managing the debt. And students? They pay. Forever. Could this be fixed? Yes. Will it be? No. Who benefits from expensive college? Universities, higher tuition funds, bigger budgets, fancier facilities, and administrative salaries. The federal government, billions in annual profit from loan interest, loan servicers, billions in fees, employers. They require degrees for jobs that don't need them, keeping college demand high. Students lose, but students don't have lobbyists. What would actually fix it? Make public universities tuition-free. Fund them with taxes, like in the 1960s. Cancel existing student debt. Ban for-profit colleges. Cap tuition increases. Make student loans dischargeable in bankruptcy. None of this is likely to happen. Because every solution costs someone powerful money. Universities would lose revenue. Government would lose profit. Loan servicers would lose business. And the narrative they've built is powerful. You chose this debt. You pay it back. But the system was restructured to make debt unavoidable, and the promise that college leads to prosperity was already broken when you enrolled. What happens next? Enrollment will decline. Gen Z is already questioning if college is worth it. Some universities will close, especially smaller private schools. Debt will be forgiven, but only after 20 to 25 years of payments through income-driven plans. And the divide will deepen. Children of wealthy parents graduate, debt-free. Everyone else starts life $40,000 to $100,000 behind. That gap compounds. Wealth on one side, debt on the other. And once it's entrenched, it doesn't reverse. In 1970, you could work summers and pay for college. In 2026, you graduate $40,000 in debt for a degree that doesn't guarantee a career. This wasn't an accident. State funding was cut in the 1980s. Loans were privatized in the 1990s. For-profit colleges scammed millions in the 2000s. Bankruptcy protection was stripped in 2005, and the government turned student debt into profit. The promise was, get a degree, build a good life. The reality, take on debt, service it forever, and hope the math works out. If this showed you exactly when and why college stopped paying off, subscribe. Because student debt isn't the only system designed to extract wealth from your generation. Housing, healthcare, retirement, wages, they're all connected. They're all broken the same way. And I'll show you how each one was restructured and who benefits while you pay. The answers aren't hidden. They're just not taught. Subscribe. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it.